Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice, you have a community, and you are never, ever alone. And here on Invisible Condition, we know that life can be tough. We know life can be interesting. It can be crazy, whatever word you want to. Some people might have some different words for it. We get it. Okay. I mean, in the last 48 years, I've endured 7 brain surgeries for the condition that I was born with. I get it. The thing is, there's also always hope. Always hope. So we choose to live in a land of hope around here. And so if you are struggling with that and need some help getting there, let me know. I'm going to put my email address up on the screen here in a minute to talk about a couple other things. But if you find yourself without hope, I'd love to help you with that. And comment on the show, comment during the show, and just say, hey, can we chat or whatever. We can definitely connect with you. So hope is a beautiful thing, and nobody should be without it. So, by the way, welcome to December, everybody. Happy December. Got the dog wearing the hat. We gotta change it up a little, right? It's cold now. The dog's, I don't want my dog to get cold. So he's got a hat now for the month of December. So subtle, right? Subtle. All right. So by the way, I do want to talk to you real quick. I was telling you I was going to put an email on the screen. That's what I'm going to do. So yeah, this is the email right here. And why I wanted to put that up there is because we have a nonprofit side of this show, and it's called Hydro with Hope, to help people with the condition that I was born with, which is called hydrocephalus. And that's the one that causes all those crazy surgeries, and it's very unpredictable, and you never really know what's going on there. So it can be, for some, it can be very scary. And so we want to be that voice of reason and hope for you. And so we have resources that we can help you with. We have people that you can talk to. The thing is, we have more to do than we have funding to do it. So we've expanded our board, and we are going forward with a new heightened purpose for 2026. And if you know anybody that would be an amazing board member, or if you'd just like to donate, it's the end of the year. Let's get those donations in there so you can have some tax write-offs. So if you know of a business that would like to donate, or if you would like to donate yourself, just go to hydrowithhope.com, and thank you in advance. And there you go. And also anybody that wants to advertise, I'd love to talk to them as well, because this is a fantastic place to do that. We get to a lot of people with this show, so I want to make sure I give that opportunity as well. So here we go. Now, I have an amazing guest with me today. She is on with me. She's been on with me for so long. It's been, Michelle, how you doing? How long have we been doing this? It's been like a year and a half we've been doing this, I think.
Right. I remember the dog's hat from last year. I was like, whoa, it's been a year?
It's back. I know. Right?
It is my favorite.
Yes. So this is Michelle, and we are back, and Chronic Illness Solution is the organization that she works with that is helping so many people, that has helped me and helped my oldest daughter, Elizabeth, and now my wife is working with you guys. It's a family affair now. And so we're so thankful that we connected with you a couple years ago, and just briefly, if anybody's been watching for any length of time, you know this person, but just briefly, who are you and what are we going to talk about today?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. Love that we connected as well. And thank you for what you do. So I'm Michelle, and I have a background as a functional medicine practitioner and holistic nutritionist, and dozens of certifications in other healing modalities and techniques and things. And none of that got me fully healthy where I am today. And at my worst, I was bedridden for many years, or for a few years, and sick for many years, and had basically just tried everything, and kind of figured it out in the sense that I wasn't bedridden anymore, and I could navigate life pretty normally for the most part, except when you looked at things under a magnifying glass, then it was like, oh, but I can only eat 5 foods and I can't handle any scented products and I am on 30 supplements a day plus herbal teas. And I'm like just constantly going back to the chiropractor and I'm doing all of this stuff, the water purifier, the air purifier. It's just, it was like nuts. And that's what caused me to think there's got to be something more than this. If the body really can heal itself, then why is it, you can heal yourself if you take this supplement? It's like, well, which one is it? I can heal myself or I can't, And so that's where I found what you guys hear me talk a lot about in our shows together, nervous system regulation and really working with the regulation systems in the body. And that when I got my body out of a state of survival mode, of fight or flight, and I got my body into a regulated state, the resting and digesting system and the growth and repair system turned on. It was only a few months before I could eat anything, including foods I had anaphylactic reactions to that I was told would be permanent. My autoimmune disease, which I was told was permanent, went away. Like my lab tests are totally normal and show no signs of ever having had an autoimmune disease. Same thing with the genetic disorder that I had. Also, lab tests are normal and those markers don't show up anymore. So it's just really remarkable that even all the things I thought were permanent, including environmental illness that's supposed to be permanent, and all of these things, it wasn't. My body was able to heal itself, was able to detox heavy metals, was able to get rid of the parasites or the bacteria or whatever all the things were, and really come to an optimal state without need for supplements or meds or anything like that. And so that's what I teach a lot about. And I love today's topic because it really is, we're going to look deeper into, how do you regulate the nervous system beyond just like deep breathing or like doing some modality or technique that as soon as you stop, then you go back into default mode. And so we're going to talk about what me and my partner developed as this called the soul map, based on like the map of consciousness and other pieces of literature, and really putting on paper like what our journey was in this healing journey, and really diving deeply into what is controlling the nervous system and how do we actually like switch our default from survival mode into a state of growth and repair all the time, instead of just trying to avoid stress and triggers or trying to just do a calming technique that helps us. Like we've got to go far beyond that if we're going to produce the results that we're talking about. So We're going to talk about the soul map and my journey through it.
Yes. Love it. Let's do it.
Cool. Do you want to pull it up?
Yes, I will grab it here.
Let's pull it up and maybe we'll start there. So what became apparent is that I control my nervous system. And in my journey of healing, I did learn how I am doing that. I'd say anybody that doesn't believe that yet, or doesn't know that to be true for themselves, or hasn't experienced that, or hasn't ever learned about it, you are controlling your nervous system. You just don't know how you're doing it. And so we created this map based on several things. And it really was a journey through the map, from the bottom of the map to the top of the map, in learning to heal. And it is a journey, and it doesn't look the same for anyone. And I like to think of these levels as like climbing different mountain peaks, right? So you're going through peaks and valleys, the highs and the lows of any journey, in learning this stuff. And so hopefully what I'm going to say will make sense. And if not, then y'all can ask questions and we'll have a QR code up. You can scan it.
Exactly. As soon as we'll take this down in a second, and then it'll have a QR code and you can contact. Yeah. Well, let me do that real quick just to show them, because I also want to put this up here too, because if no matter where you're watching, and thank you for watching, by the way, we're so glad you're here. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can also comment there and say, "Oh, Michelle, you're exactly the person I've been looking for my whole life. We need to work together." And we can get you connected that way. And also we can connect you this way, which is where to go.
Drum roll.
There it is. Too many things in there. There it is. So that QR code will go to the website, and you can schedule a time to talk with her as well. So, okay. All right, but that's got to come down so we can put this back up.
Okay. Yeah. So, it's like, how do I control my nervous system? I mean, yes, we are doing it. We don't know how. What are other words? Our perception, right? Our body and our nervous system is going to respond reactively to however we're perceiving life. If there's a perceived threat, whether it's real or an actual or just perceived and made up, if there's a perceived threat, my nervous system is going to go into a fight or flight, freeze or fawn response. And we'll show you where that is on this map. But
can I just say something real quick? I don't know why, but this popped into my head. So, and this was when I started this. Now I have an understanding of this. Like when you come into a program like this, you're coming into it. I mean, you say you don't know how to control your nervous system, right? It's like if you put you say when you finish this program, you're like starting all over. You're like a baby, right? And you're starting off, and you're like, okay, now how do I navigate life with this? So attempting to regulate your own nervous system and figure this out on your own is like if you put a 3-year-old behind the wheel of a manual transmission vehicle and said, okay, kid, we're going to New Jersey, let's drive, and like there's so many things they don't know that they don't know, like how to read a map, how to drive a car, what are all these pedals for? Like there's so much they just don't know that they don't know. Yeah. And that's how it is when you come into this program. And even after you finish the program, you've still got so much to learn so my point is, don't feel bad if you don't know this stuff, and don't beat yourself up that you should have known it or, because I feel that and I understand it. So I just wanted to throw it out there for anybody that's like, what are we doing? So, okay.
Yeah, that's so good. I mean, one of the points that was on my heart to emphasize today, so that's cool you were picking up on it as well, and your own intuition is we really can't see beyond the level of awareness that we're at, yes, that we are in. And so I think of each of these levels here, like shame, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. Like these are levels of awareness that we have. Like this is what our self-awareness looks like. Some people call it consciousness, our state of what we're conscious and aware of versus subconscious or unaware of, right? Yeah. And so this is really what drives our perceptions. And no, I didn't know this either. And I knew a lot of stuff. But, and I knew about some of these concepts, but I didn't know actually how to experience them in my own life. And that's mostly what I do is I take concepts that a lot of us have heard and have learned and figured out, developed, how do I teach this in an experiential way? So there's an actual aha moment. There's an actual, oh, I get it, from my own body is doing it now, instead of I just know the concept, but nothing's happening. And so, so really I think perception is a huge thing that is a driving force behind what our nervous system is doing. And our perceptions come from our unconscious and subconscious filters and beliefs and our pasts and everything our brain has decided it needs to survive, our survival systems. And because of that, we really can't see beyond it.
Yeah.
So I won't know, oh, I was grieving until I'm like above grief, looking down at it. Oh, that was grief, right? When I'm in it, I'm just in the thick of it. And oftentimes we don't have perception about what we're in the thick of. And we know this because of like PTSD and trauma, right? Like when we talk about a perceived threat, PTSD is a great example where nothing threatening is happening, but somebody's system just goes into a perceived threat response. And we all have that same mechanism on some level with each of these levels of awareness that we have and operate in. And this is like across the board of all humans. So I really like that too, because it's not like, oh, what's the technique that's going to work for my nervous system? No technique is going to work for everyone. But if we have fundamental principles that are consistent across all humans, right? Then it's like, I don't know how you're going to hike this mountain, but I know that we're going to do it, and we're going to figure out how you need to go about hiking this mountain. And when you get to the top of the mountain, this will be the thing you experience.
Yep.
And so really it's like just learning to shift and pivot and navigate. It's like being a mountain guide, a mountain hiker guide. That's basically my job. It's like, oh, this person is elderly. How are we going to get creative? How are we going to go slower? How are we going to, maybe I tell them to take different kinds of steps, or maybe they need different kinds of shoes, or maybe they need assistance. I don't know.
Right.
But regardless, it doesn't matter. We know the path to the top of that mountain, and we can get you there by just walking alongside you, because we've traversed that mountain so many times and walked so many people up it. So that's kind of it. It's like you got to be willing to have a new experience and not know what it's going to be like to hike your first 14er, and to trust the guide, to just do your best and give lots of feedback. And on it goes. All right. So we really can't see beyond the level of awareness we're in. What's interesting in the middle column is like percent of the population. And so the majority of people are living in a state of fear, and it's lower than fear. And so that's survival mode. In fact, anything below 200, which is at neutrality, the PNS, right? That's the parasympathetic nervous system and where it turns on. Anything below 200 is, which is level 10, is survival mode.
Yep.
And that's where the majority of humans are operating. So 92% of people are in survival mode, and our society is built on survival mode. And we live in a very fast-paced society, especially during the holidays. Everything speeds up like times 10. And so we're essentially working with people to process or integrate or become aware of triggers, patterns, habits, responses, perceptions that come from these different lower levels. So a lot of people do personal development, and they want to work on their ego, and they want to become more self-aware and become, a secure, attached person in a relationship. And they want to have emotional intelligence and all of these kinds of words. And essentially, like, learning those things and learning to actually embody those things are skill sets that would raise you up the map. One challenge is that most people learn concepts. Like, I learn how to say something differently, right? Let's say in a relationship, I learn how to use I language and not you language. So I am feeling scared when I hear words such as, if you don't do this, I'm going to do that, right? It's instead of like, every time you say blah, 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 then you make me feel blah, 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 right? Like, there's a difference when you use I language and you language. So I can learn to switch my language, but not actually change my internal responses. And that's what I find is happening most of the times when people are learning these concepts. They are learning concepts. They're not learning in their own experience how to actually on the inside feel differently and perceive differently. They're just learning how to change their words. So we have to know that there's a difference here. And what I oftentimes teach is that however I'm feeling on the inside is what's actually going on for me. That's my actual level of awareness. So no matter how much I can learn to say something different or learn to do something different because I was taught that that's the right way, if I'm still having those internal responses of emotional charge and triggers and dysregulation, that's actually the level that I'm at. And so being honest with that first and foremost is the most important thing, because then we can actually start doing something about it. And after the break, we'll talk about like how becoming aware of the level is actually the way to outgrow it. Like, in order to see it, you have to raise beyond it anyway. And so we'll talk about how we do that and how you guys can start doing that on your journey towards healing.
Beautiful. Yes, that is perfect. That's a perfect way to end the first segment. Thank you. Beautiful. I will, you know what? I'm going to talk to the folks here for just a second, and then we'll go to commercial, and we'll see you in just a minute. All right, here we go. Where did my cursor go? There it is. Here we go. Welcome to Live TV, everybody. It's all fun and games. Here we go. All right, everybody, listen. I know that that it's okay. So by the way, welcome to December, right? I said that at the beginning of the show. Welcome to December. It is now time to, unless you're one of those guys that guys or girls that likes to shop on Christmas Eve and call that Christmas shopping. If you want to be prepared ahead of time, I'm going to talk to you about this. So roast to order coffee. Okay. So for those who don't know, I am a coffee snob. I am a coffee nerd, straight up coffee nerd. And I have been for years. I love great coffee. Okay. In fact, if a bag of coffee doesn't have a roast date on the bottom, I probably, that's within the last couple of weeks, I'm probably going to not buy that one and look for one that does because it's better. So, that's just how I roll. So that's why I'm so thankful for Mike at Roast to Order Coffee. They get it. Okay. They roast the beans fresh. They ship them to your door, and they're always coming up with new and amazing ways that by the first one, they listen to their customers. That's why they're always coming up with new and amazing ways, because their customers will say, you know what we want? We want flavored coffee. Okay, cool. What flavors would you like to try? Oh, well, we like this. Okay, cool. We'll do it. Oh, we want the pods, the little K-cup pod things. Great. We'll start doing those and see how it goes. Now they're selling great. So they listen. Mike is such a good listener to his customers. And so, if your thing is espresso or decaf or flavored coffee or whatever, he's got you covered. And now that it's December, if for those of you that want to be prepared, he's got e-gift cards and he's got coffee subscriptions. By the way, if anybody in my family is watching, coffee subscription, I'm just gonna say it again. I would love a coffee subscription. So scan the QR code and you will get 20% off your first purchase, and we'll go from there. So, all right, here we go. We'll see you in just a couple of minutes.
Are you being priced out of healthcare? Tired of the prices skyrocketing and having to go to doctors dictated by a network? We feel your pain and have the solution, a nonprofit approach that is ethical and affordable. Take a moment to learn about a way that works better and feels better than health insurance.
Hi everyone, I'm Andy.
And I'm Minna.
We're the hosts of Chronically Healthy Life.
Join us Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time on Vitality TV to see how we flip the idea of chronic on its head and create chronic health in our bodies, minds, finances, and relationships right here on E360 TV.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. And thank you, Michelle, for being here. And I have the QR code there now. So if anybody was listening in the first segment and said, you said you were going to put a QR code up there so I could get in touch with Michelle. There it is. So we'll leave that there for a minute. And then, because we'll be going back to the other visual that we had up in the first segment, but we'll leave that there for a minute. So, all right, where'd we leave off?
Well, we're talking about the soul map, and I'm hoping that it's communicating well, because it's like, I feel like these concepts sometimes are hard to grasp.
Yeah.
And they sound different conceptually than they do when you know it. And so anyway, that's where we're at, is really We have to become aware of what is driving our perceptions that's having our body and our nervous system unconsciously perceive life in a certain way. So everything that's in survival mode, that's like our pride, our ego, our fear, unresolved stuff of loss, things we're angry about. And in our society, anger is a really funny one because it's typically not acceptable to be angry. So we suppress that one a lot. And when patterns from that level come up, it's not like, oh, I exploded, I'm angry. It's usually like, I don't feel angry about that. Like, I don't know why it's anger is coming up, but it's because we suppress that one, right? And so we also have like deep shame-based patterns that, usually are more core wounds from childhood and traumas. And so it's just, these are the things that are like the pair of glasses that we're wearing that we can't see we're wearing that color our view of life.
Well, and there's so many things. I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's so many things. So there's just like half a dozen core things that are like anger, joy, like or whatever. There's like four. I don't know if you've ever out there, I know you have, Michelle, but the wheel of emotion or whatever they call it. It's at the core of it. It's like happy, anger, sad, there's like 4 or 5 of them, but then it goes out and it's like, this is what some of them can look like. This is what some of them can be called in conversation. So some people don't realize it's anger. They think they're just frustrated with this, or they're annoyed with this, but really at the core of it, they're pissed off about something, and they don't, and they don't want to address it because they don't feel like they should be angry about that, because that's going to make them a bad person. Right.
Yeah,
but it's okay. Like, figure it out. Right.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Like, what is underneath that? Is that a violated boundary that you need to put in place? Or is that
it's all valid? So
triggering a trauma that this thing was said the very similar way that your dad said it to you when you were a little kid and when he was being abusive, so like being able to dive into the unconscious things, that's really where the core of this is. So all of the most of the modalities that work on nervous system regulation, or they often talk about healing at the subconscious level, and how the subconscious is like over 90% of what you're aware of. You're only aware of like 4 to 12% consciously of what's happening. And so 90-ish% around is subconscious. And so our subconscious beliefs and perceptions and filters that we're seeing things through, that's all subconscious. That's what gives us our thoughts and our emotions and our feelings and our reactions and our responses, and controls everything in our body. And we actually are saying you need to go beyond that into the unconscious, because that's what's actually communicating with like the nervous system and the immune system and things like that. There's very few people that actually work on that deeper level. But that's where the magic is. How are you going to reset your default for your nervous system if you actually don't completely change the entire inner operating system? And so this is a lot of healing, but the majority of it is just becoming conscious of what you're unaware of. And I like to tell people, look, if what you were aware of and the knowledge you currently have was enough to get you the results you want, you'd have those results already. So obviously we have to go into what I don't know, and what's in my blind spots. And that's what you were saying. It's impossible to do this work without someone helping point it out, because it's in your blind spot. How are you going to access your blind spots? We actually do teach you how to do that, by the way. We give you tools to do that. But without ever having learned, how do I access and uncover the stuff in my own unconscious? Then it's just going to stay there. And so anything that you change behaviorally up at a conscious level is not going to change that deeper operating state in your nervous system. And that's what we're really talking about. And our clients consistently say, oh my gosh, it was the weirdest thing. Like, this really hard challenge happened in my life, and I just was like able to stay in a grounded place of peace. Like, man, me a year ago, like, that would have been the thing. I would have lost it. That would have been like, I wouldn't have been able to handle this. It would have tipped me over the edge. And I don't even know how I did it. See, I don't even know how I did it. Why? Because it's now your new normal. It's now just the operating state. That's essentially what we have to think about this with. So we worry about the nuances, and we don't even usually pull out this map until somebody is already like healthy, because they don't need to worry about all the different levels and how complicated that can seem. But it is cool to see and have awareness of a few basic ones. So most people aren't even ready to be in this conversation if they operate fear and below. And that's the majority, 88%, right? It's like well, let's just say this, 60% of people might even be open to this information at all, at desire, right? And then at anger, which is very cool. I love anger because if you don't make it wrong and you don't resist it and you don't try to suppress it and do weird things with it, anger is actually a very strong energy that's like, it will give you the motivation to change.
Right.
And so even David Hawkins, he created a map of consciousness very similar to this. And so he was always very happy when people got angry. He's like, cool, now things are going to change, because that's energy to move up the map and say, I am no longer willing for this to be this way. I'm done. It is going to change. And I was on a podcast recently with an amazing person. I will have to link it later. But he always talks about what is the moment of change. And it's always this moment of I'm fed up and I'm done and I'm deciding I am no longer going to deal with this anymore. So anger is a very powerful emotion that is positive if we don't try to suppress it, get in our heads about it, be all victim-y about it. And even the Bible says, be angry and do not sin.
Right.
I'm so sorry. Daisy, go lay down. It's my dog. I don't usually have her in here. Say hi to Daisy, everybody. So that is what anger is. So 32% of people might choose to become aware of what we're teaching and move from desire to anger. And then 13% of people might go from 32% to 13% of those people will actually move up to face their pride. And pride doesn't look what you think it does. Pride just looks like being right and wanting your comfort zone and being really in your head about, well, will that work? And wanting to know all this information and like, I don't know, like I'm going to choose to be skeptical. I'm going to choose to just keep doing what I'm doing. I think I can do it on my own, or, there's like all these things that show up at that point.
Or if somebody says, I know a lot when you're talking to them. Oh, I know. I had somebody kick my butt about that a few years ago. It's like, you need to shut up and stop saying that because you don't know. And that's why you're talking to me.
Right.
And so if you did know, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So you need to eliminate from your vocabulary for a while.
Yes.
So,
and I always say, well, it's like, but how is what you know working for you though?
That
because
too.
It's like,
hello.
When people go through this, I consistently see an average of 4 to 6 months. Totally healthy, same story as me. For me, it was about 3 months. I've seen people do it in as fast as 10 weeks. I've seen some people that have very serious trauma or maybe a mental illness in addition, which is a little bit more complicated. Both hemispheres of the brain are affected and running competing survival programs actually at the same time. So anyway, it's like double the trouble. So I've seen that take a little bit longer in a handful of cases over so many years. But really, it's about being willing to admit that if we haven't solved the root cause, then that's why we're suffering. And when we solve the root cause, we know it's consistently about a 4 to 6 month process. So it's kind of like, well, how long do you want to keep doing what you're currently doing? And isn't the definition of insanity continuing to do the same thing and expecting different results? And I'm like, yeah, but think of where that comes from. It's mostly fear-based, which is insane. Fear-based thinking is actually insane, not sane thinking. It often distorts reality and puts an opposite perception in place of that, right?
You're imagining stuff that hasn't even happened. It's just it's stuff that's in the future. You don't fear anything that's in your past. You don't really fear can happen in the present. Like, okay, I almost got hit by that car, or that dog almost bit me, or whatever. But like most of it, like probably 95% of it is future-based fear thinking, like, oh my God, what if this happens? And how much of that actually happens?
Right. I mean, I've heard statements like, what, less than 1% of what you fear is even likely to happen.
Come on.
Right. Plus, it's like we've traced fear to how it's actually the mind and ego wanting to keep us in a comfort zone, and how the very things we say we want, fear will come in and create this fear of a scenario that will keep us stuck. And so what we do with fear-based thinking, this is great for everyone, is we actually say, okay, if you make this choice, what are you afraid you will experience in life, right? Oh, well, it won't work. Okay, what's the experience? I'll be sick. Then this will happen. Then I'll feel like giving up because it will feel hopeless that another thing failed. I mean, you can like trace it this way in these kinds of statements. And every time I'm like, okay, read the list you just wrote. Is that what you're experiencing now? And everyone's like,
No.
Will they say yes?
Oh, really? Oh,
I already feel like it hasn't even worked. I already feel scared that blah, blah, blah. And that nothing will ever work. And I just want to give up. Like, it's amazing how our fears actually project our previous experiences and our current experiences and says,
true.
and so it's like every time you look at fear and you boil it down to what is the actual fear? Oh, it's my suffering I'm currently in. Okay, so if I make a healthy choice, is it likely I'm going to stay in that suffering, or is it likely the suffering's going to change? And fear, all of a sudden, every time we work with fear, it just starts melting down because at the core of it, it's always illogical. Unless if, like you said, it's literally right now in the moment a dog is chasing me, in which case, guess what? We're not in our heads thinking, I'm afraid of a bear that's chasing me. And so I think I should do this instead of that because what if, whatever. We're just present in the moment. We're responding in the moment. We're in action for our safety. So everything else that's us like looping fear-based thoughts in our mind, that's just like the ego saying, I don't want to get out of my comfort zone. Yeah. And so fear is a big one. So anyway, only 8% of the population, which is not a lot, that's like 8 out of 100 people are ready to do what we're doing and ready to walk a journey that we're talking about walking, where in 4 to 6 months, you can become completely healthy, lab test normal, no need for supplements and meds. Like you can eat real foods. You don't have to manage symptoms because they're not there. And you really have an embodied experience like all of our graduates and our practitioners and our coaches do of like, yeah, this is what made a difference for me. So I say those numbers, I think, to emphasize this isn't for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
You got to really be done with, I am ready to unearth every unhealthy pattern that I have and become aware of it and face it and own it and do my tough inner work and step up and mature as a human being and take responsibility for my entire life and my body and my nervous system and take those reins and say, okay, if I'm the one that's controlling how this goes, I'm going to learn how to do it in a way that is effective for me. So that's not the majority of humans. But for those who are ready, I think they can choose whether they're up for the challenge and whether they're willing to do the tough work to face every fear-based thought and really retrain themselves out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and to give you all out there a little hope, it took me longer than the normal time frame, because when Michelle started working with me, I wasn't ready, and she realized I wasn't ready because of the questions she was asking me. And so then I went and did some other work with another amazing person that she works with. And then I came back and she said, oh, now you're ready. Let's get down to work. So it took me longer. Sometimes I'm a tough nut to crack. That's just somehow I don't know. That's been, so to give you all hope, it can still be done. It can still get done. I still got through it. I still completed it. I'm still learning, of course, but if you're not ready, you can become ready. And it's not, it's don't give up. It's not the end of the world if you're not ready right then, but it's, it's pretty awesome when you are. So,
yep.
All right,
Which I love. You're such a good example. I know we're going to the break.
No, you're good.
You are such a good example because it's like wherever you were, which I was there too in my own way. I actually was tipped onto this kind and realm of work like years prior. And I just was like, yeah, right. It took me years to have that humble moment of like, everything that I know, right, is not
Right.
producing the results I want. So I should probably be humble and like, look. But you were just so like, whatever the next step is to get up that mountain, I'm going to do it. And so I think you're a great example of that, because it doesn't matter where we're at. It matters, how do we want to grow and expand? That's the question. How do I want to grow as a human being and take my next step?
Exactly. I mean, if somebody was born with a lifelong condition that requires brain surgery every once in a while, and I've had 15 surgeries, 7 brain surgeries so far in the last 48, almost 49 years, can get to the point that can change. Now, seriously, literally the MRI results were different, guys. Like, everybody, I want you to hear that. I'm going to say it again. When I had my last brain surgery in 2021, and the MRIs that they did immediately, like right after that, was a very sick brain. It looked, that's the only way I can describe it without getting into too much technical detail, but it looked very sick brain. And in 2024, I think I had another one, or 25, I can't remember, but anyway, it was in the midst of working with you, and I went back for another brain. I felt so good, I didn't want to go back. I was like, well, I don't know why I need one, but they're like, you have to come get another update. We need one for our records. So we did, and it was completely the opposite. Like, it changed the molecular structure of my brain. It looks like a very healthy brain now, and it's just blew my mind. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. So it does work. And when you're ready, it does work. So so it's pretty awesome. So we could go on this all day long, but we only have a little bit longer to go. So we're going to go to one more break, and then we'll finish up after this. Stick around.
Hey everybody, Craig Tomanini here, founder and CEO of Ask Craig T, and I wanted to do a quick reminder about our podcast every Friday, 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. You can find us on YouTube and on all of our social media platforms, so be sure you tune in. Don't miss all the valuable information we're going to give you about how to scale your business using technology.
Hey there. You know, every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Greg Russell. I'm the host of TechnologyTuesday.com. You can find us on the Conscious Business TV network every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the latest resources to help you make more money in your business. Join us on E360 TV. Come on.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And we have about, what are we at? We got about 6 or 7 at the most minutes left. So what would we like to kind of wrap up with in this last little bit?
Yeah, I think, what are stepping stones? I think the first stepping stone in beginning to apply anything useful from what we've said is I think fear. To be honest, fear is the roadblock that we see is the biggest roadblock for people. in making the leap to that next level. And so anything that anyone can do to become aware of fear, what it sounds like, the thoughts it produces, the feelings in your body, and to begin to recognize that in your life, that's going to be the key. Just becoming aware of it is key. So it's like, where is fear talking? Where am I listening to fear? And a lot of people say, is this fear? Is this love? Fine. If that works for you, let's start there. That's a great place just to become aware of. Like, if I felt safe, is this what I would be thinking? Or am I already feeling unsafe? Am I just afraid of their reaction? And that's what is that how I'm coming up with the things I want to say? Is like to avoid hearing somebody's negative reaction. Like, that's people pleasing. People pleasing is fear, right? So we just becoming aware of when you're listening to fear-based thoughts. That's going to be key, is what you're doing from a fear-based place. Even like making lunch for yourself in the day. Am I making lunch because I don't want to be without lunch? Because if I'm without lunch, then my blood sugar is going to crash, and then that will be bad, and then I'll be really stressed out and whatever. Like, is fear still motivating even healthy behaviors? Am I going to the gym because I don't want to gain weight, and because then I'll look blah 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 blah, and then I'll feel really insecure? Like, we can even make healthy choices from a fear-based place, and guess what? We don't get the benefits of that because we're still reinforcing fear and lack of safety and survival. And then that's producing cortisol and adrenaline. And then our body stays in that same state. So even looking at the motives behind our behaviors, am I doing this because I love myself? Am I doing this to show myself I care? Am I doing this because I am reliable and I show up for myself and I do my best and I'm building trust with myself? Trust meaning I have my best interest in my own mind and heart, and I will act in my best interest. That's how we build self-trust. So also looking at the motives. Am I doing this because I think I should, because I think I have to, because I think I'm stuck, or because this is what I'm choosing for my life? This is my choice on this day, and I'm going to support myself the best I can through it, because I am choosing to have a job, because I am choosing to support myself, which was actually a conversation I had with a client yesterday. I was like, well, would you really want to quit your job today? He's like, oh no, definitely not. I'm like, okay, so do want to work at your job. And that's one of his negative mind loops, is like he beats himself up about having his job when he could be doing something cooler, right? And I'm like, but in reality, that's not true. In reality, you're doing the best you can right now and you're providing for yourself. So having that dialogue in your head while you're working is much better than constantly being like, oh, this is a stupid job and you could be doing something different with your life. What are you even doing with your life? Like, we have to become aware of those inner dialogues and motives and start shifting it, just even consciously, into a healthier perspective, and just interrupting that by asking, well, is this fear? Is this love? Just that interruption of that pattern is going to start shifting things and help you become more aware of things. So that's a practical step in the right direction for awareness. The next practical step, I feel like, is just inviting you into a conversation. If you have ongoing symptoms, physically, mentally, emotionally, with addictions, eating disorders, things like that, that's exactly what we do this work on. And so having a conversation so we can help you figure out where you are and what your survival patterns are in your nervous system and why those are stuck on, and what it looks like to turn those off, and helping you experience regulation in your body, which is very cool. Jeff always talks about on our videos, like, then I experienced it myself and I was like, whoa, this feels awesome. And if I could live like this all the time and feel this way in my body, that'd be a whole different life. So helping you guys actually experience that, I think, is that's the other practical thing. That's the other invitation.
Absolutely. And it's true, right? Like, really early on in working with Michelle or whoever you end up working with, and she's got an incredible team that are all there to help you. So whoever you work with, they will help you. The coolest thing was experiencing that early on in the program, when I still didn't understand it all. Like, we were still very early and I was still very much dysregulated. But getting that little glimpse of it, of like, okay, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. Okay, how do you feel? Whoa, that was cool. Like, that's almost like giving you the hope to say, okay, this is possible. I'm going to keep going. even though it's hard, I'm going to keep going because I know what that feels like, and I want to feel that all the time.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I love that you do that with them early on, because that's like the best kick in the butt you can get. It's like, this is great.
Yep.
So yeah, for sure.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, is there anything new with your website? Like, we've got like a minute or two left, like one or 2 minutes left, but I feel like, you kind of restructured a little bit to a more nonprofit kind of structure. Is anything different, like fundamentally different on your website, or is it pretty much the same to set up a time with you?
Yep. So far, it's the same to set up a time with us, but there is some cool changes. Chronic Illness Solution is going under a nonprofit, Enduring Hope, so that you talk about hope all the time. And that allows us to have donation-based options. So really, we can work with anybody. And we've restructured things in a way that we can offer that and get people help. Might be a little bit longer of a journey, but they're able to still go through it. And it's just as effective as any of our other programs. And we've tested that out this year. So that's very exciting. There's really nothing to lose. And I think it gives people options when they really normally could only afford anything covered by insurance. And of course, they need something way beyond that. So yeah, that allows, and we have scholarship applications and opportunities for people as well to get extra support. So that really makes it very easy. And it allows us to do this work for anybody. And we just trust that we'll be taken care of in our needs as we're doing what we believe we are called to be doing and what is our purpose to bring to the world.
100%. Yep. It's awesome. I love how you guys have kind of, like, over the last couple of years, it's been really fun to be able to, and that's why how you've changed. And that's why I talk to people about you guys all the time on calls, because the nature of this TV show are people that are struggling. They might be doing something awesome. I mean, that's the idea, right? They're suffering from a condition that they didn't bargain for, but they're kicking butt in spite of it. Maybe they're doing something awesome in spite of it, but they're still struggling, at times. And so I tell you what, this is such a cool option to be able to say, look, and like you said, not everybody's ready, but for those that are, it's so fun to hear, stories about people you've met that have come from that and what they're doing. And it's awesome. I'm so glad that it works that way. So, yeah, pretty cool.
Thank you.
So, well, I think unfortunately we are out of time, but we will be back with Michelle on, I believe, when are we going to come back? When are we on again? Right before Christmas, man. December 16th is our next time to bring you another amazing episode with Michelle. So we will do that on December 16th. Our next show in general with our next guest is going to be on the 5th. And oh man, you're going to love, Linda Grace Farley. She's awesome. You're going to love Linda. She's amazing. You just met Linda, I think, not too long ago, right? She's awesome, right?
Yeah, we had so much fun together.
She texted me right after your conversation. She's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much for the." So yeah. So all right, everybody, seriously, tune in next time because she's awesome. So that is on December. What is that? Friday, December 5th. So just in a few more days, that'll be her episode. So join us then. And until then, have an amazing day, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.